The approach with the voice in your head is not to try to change the voice. It's to simply listen to the voice. Because when you listen to the voice, in that moment, you realize, hey, wait a second. I am not the voice. How can I be the voice in my head if I'm the one listening to the voice? How can I be the thoughts that I'm experiencing if I'm able to witness my thoughts? You see, and so in that moment, you're liberated because there's that sense of detachment where you realize that I have thoughts, but I am not my thoughts. I have feelings, but I am not my feelings. I have this voice in my head, but I am not the voice in my head. That is the moment of liberation. And then what you do is you simply listen. Because again, in listening, you continue to listen because in listening, you have more of an understanding that whatever this is, whatever this voice is, it's not you and it's not true. So then, like I said, you start to treat it like just like any other voice. And so let's say you had a friend and you were hanging out with them, and next thing you know, they just start talking about themselves in the way that the voice in your head talks about you. And let's say it's like negative and disempowering. If this was the case, and you were just listening to this person talk so negatively about themselves, most of the time, how do you respond to that person? You say, that's not true. Like, no, that's totally off. And you know, you're being too hard on yourself, or you need to give yourself more grace, or, you know, relax, or whatever it is. It's like, for whatever reason, we have such, it seems like it's so much easier to speak with clarity and to speak with positivity when it comes to someone else who's dealing with something or going through something within their own self, as opposed to when we're the ones dealing with our own inner voice, inner dialogue or monologue, and it's like we're trying to overcome that. It's like when it has to do with us, for whatever reason, we tend to be way too hard on ourselves. But if it's someone else, all of a sudden we have all this grace and mercy most of the time, and understanding and clarity and peace and assurance. And we're like, no, that's so not true. Like, that is just something that you're coming up with, or that is so far-fetched or whatever. And so that's the way you have to treat this voice in your head. You have to literally treat it like you would be listening to someone else talk about themselves. And so what you do in that moment when you're listening is you give the voice your full, undivided attention and presence. And through the lens of awareness, through the lens of presence, what happens is you start to reveal, you start to bring light into the conversation, into you listening to that voice. And then all of a sudden that light dispels the darkness. That light dispels the lies that are being generated from this egoic voice in your head. And you know, a lot of people, when they think of the ego, they tend to think of the ego as something that is superior, like this superiority mentality. But believe it or not, the ego can be also inferior. So it can take on this sense of like not being enough and not being worthy and not being loved or whatever it is. And it's the same thing. It's coming from the same mental construct. It's just a different side of the coin, different side of the same coin. So that's something that has profoundly helped me in my life. It's something that has enabled me to overcome these disempowering thoughts and this negative mental chatter that many of us experience each and every day. And what you learn in this experience is that you can actually choose, you can actually decide what you're embodying and what you're feeling, which will result in how you're acting and what you experience in your life, because it all starts with your thoughts. And the thing about thoughts is just simply by detaching from thoughts and seeing that you are not your thoughts, it enables you to choose your own state of being, independent of whatever thoughts are running through your headspace. Because again, the thoughts just become another voice, or the thoughts become another whatever, and you're just not concerned, you're not consumed by them, you're not controlled by them. You're free. And so then you can choose to focus on the thoughts that are positive and uplifting, and you can simply choose to see things differently. And when you choose, because again, you have the power to choose, then the more you do this, the more you dwell on the positive, on the things that are uplifting, the things that have to do with love and joy and peace and authenticity, then all of a sudden your subconscious mind starts to reprogram. And when it starts to reprogram, then all of a sudden you start to see yourself, others, the world completely differently. You start to embody this new state of being that is a higher frequency. And then from that state of being, that higher state of being, then everything else around you starts to reflect that. And then that is essentially what it means to walk in the light of life. But it all starts with you having the awareness and the consciousness of, I have thoughts, I am not my thoughts. I don't have to live by these thoughts any longer. I am free. I am the eternal witness that's purely aware, and I can choose what to focus on. I can choose where my energy goes. And this will absolutely change your life. It will enable you to live from this divine liberation that you fundamentally are. Liberation, peace, like I've talked about before, are inherent qualities to our divine essence. They're not something that we have to earn or achieve or attain. They are, again, inherent qualities to our true divine essence. And so the game of awakening is simply remembering and then unveiling. It's not about trying to get it in the external. No, it's the recognition, it's the realization that it's something that has always been true. And the more we awaken, the more we start to realize the true self, and we live from that instead of from the ego, then this is something else that's going to have a tremendous influence on the thoughts that we're experiencing throughout the day. And just like anything in life, the more you dwell on these thoughts that are connected to the true self, the more you will start to feel differently. And then as you start to feel differently, you'll start to act differently. And as you start to act differently, that is when you experience true transformation.